Greetings, everyone. My name's Salishan Adejumo Oluwasegun Agbalu, and I'll be taking us through the concept of data as one key we must know when choosing a career in data analytics. So, as a prospective data analyst, this will be very useful for you. So, the outlines of the presentation are as follows: what are data, the major types of data, the sources of data, data variables, the measurement levels of data variables, and what type of analysis, what made up what are the types of analysis that made up data analysis. So these are what we'll be looking at today. Okay, the first, what are data? Data are raw facts of events which have been collected, recorded, or stored but yet to be analyzed. So any gathered information that has to do with activities or of an event or that are yet to be analyzed are what we refer to as data. And data are made up of numbers and characters. Characters can be in form of letters, can be in form of special symbols that we use in recording a particular event. So this are what made us of data. So data are just raw facts yet to be analyzed. And the singular form of data is what we refer to as datatum. Oh, sorry, it's what we call datum. Okay, examples of data includes monthly bills, the activities recorded in the house, the student activities in the class or the numbers of students in the class, the performance of students in a particular subject, okay, the daily calls you received when you take record of it, the country census surveys on any particular subject, examples of data. So what we're saying here is that data are readily available around us. Data are anything you take record of that are yet to be processed. It's what we refer to as data. So we have what we call data to information framework. Uh, for you to have an information, you must process data. So you must process the raw fact you have collected. So the subjecting a data you collected to a process to yield a result is what we call, and the result of that process is what we call information. So we don't say, so some people do interchange data to information. So informations are already processed data. So while data are not yet gathered activities or records that are yet to be processed. So this data process, what we're talking about data process here is what we refer to as analysis of data. So what are the major types of data we have? We have two major types of data. We have the qualitative and the quantitative. The qualitative type of data are data that cannot take numerical values. So they are data that cannot be counted, measured, or expressed in numbers. And we have two categorical types of qualitative data, and this includes nominal data and ordinal data. And the nominal data are just as it sounds, names, data that comes with names, data that are nominal in nature. That means they have a particular name attributed to them, like gender, sex, marital status, color, race, etc. And we have the ordinal data that they are in all in ranking form. So any data that are in ranking form that follow a particular order are also types of qualitative data. And examples of them are letter grade, time a student performance grade in the class, economic status, and so on. Even age groups are, are ordinal in nature. So these are two major types of qualitative data. So we talk about quantitative data. The second type of data are data that takes numerical values. That means data that can be counted, measured, or easily expressed using numbers. So, and we have two major types of quantitative data, and it can be discrete and it can be continuous. Discrete are data that contain counting figures 1, 2, 3, 4. They can be counted. So that's what we call discrete data. Why continuous data are data that cannot be counted. They take infinite numbers. That means numbers that takes real data. They are real in nature. That means, for instance, the speed of a car can be oh to can take decimal point. The height of a person 1.8. So these are data that are not in counting form. So we call that's what we call continuous data. And as well, how can this data be sourced? So sources of data can be sourced in two major ways: primary and secondary. So we have primary source. Primary source are what we refer to as first-hand means of gathering of data. So data you collected, a researcher, as you collected by yourself as a researcher, is what we call a primary source of data. And this primary source of data includes interviews, personal narratives, survey, laboratory experiments. And the second type is what we call secondary source of data. So any data you collected other than from, in as much as you're not the primary user, is what we refer to as secondary data. So data you collected from a third person or a third source is what we refer to as secondary data. And this includes journals, census, government agency, newspaper, magazines, records of events collected by another agent or another person. Is what are all sources of secondary sources of data. So now I want to understand what is data. Sorry, what are data, and the types of data, and how data can be sourced. Another form concept we need to understand is data variables. So what are data variables? Data variables are our data points. So they are the characteristics or attributes that you are observing in a data frame. So they are the data points that made up a certain data set. So, and they can as well be qualitative or quantitative in nature. And in qualitative variables, we have what we call variables that cannot be numerically valued, just like the ordinal and the nominal. So the any data that cannot be numerically valued, such as sex, race, marital status, color, I will call qualitative data. And quantitative data are variables, or quantitative variables are variables that give the notion of magnitude. So they can be measured, they can be numerically valued. So these are examples of them: height, weight, age, count, etc. So, and quantitative variables can be discrete in nature and can as well be continuous in nature. So discrete, quantitative discrete variables now. Quantitative discrete variables are variables which take countable figures. So a variable that can take finite numbers. They can be counted. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, numbers of children in a particular family, the numbers of students in a particular class, the number of citizens in the country are what referred to as quantitative discrete variables. So they are quantitative as well as discrete in nature because they can be counted. While continuous variables are those that cannot be counted. So they are not countable in nature. Examples is age, weight, height, etc. So the next is measurement levels of our data variables. So we must understand the measurement levels of our data label, because this is a major thing that informs the types of analysis or the types of statistical analysis or techniques you need to deploy for a particular data set. So we must understand the measurement levels of data. And we have four measurement levels of data. This includes nominal, as I said, the nominal scale. So they are measurement that has be assigned a particular name. just as the name, nominal in nature, gender. So this is an example of what? Of a qualitative data, and it's also a qualitative variables in nature. And we have what we call ordinal. Ordinals are ordinal scales are variables that are in ranking form or in order form. So just like so we have, so this is another form of what? Qualitative data or qualitative variables. So the third one is interval. So interval scales here refers to as measurement levels of variables that there is difference between two values that is so meaningful, but does not have a true zero. What it means is that, for instance, the measurement, the temperature levels of the body, the pH level, oh, these are measurable in nature, that is as well, but does not have true values, so a true zero value. So an example is that the temperature and the pH, and this is an example of what? Of a quantitative variables or quantitative data. As well, we have what we call ratio scale. The ratio scale is different between ratio scales and interval scales. That what this entails, contain, or account for true zeros. It accounts for true zero like length, like duration, population, speed. So this this interval ratio are two types of measurement levels that are quantitative in nature, and we refer to them as quantitative. Most cases we refer to them with they denote quantitative variables. So having known it for the level, the measurement level of data. So what now? The data analysis itself. So data analysis is simply scientific process of converting the data into useful information. As you said, before you can have an information, you must subject to a particular process. And the particular process we're talking about is what we call data analysis. And what is at the purpose? The purpose is to provide answers to questions designed by a researcher or an investigator. So for you to embark on data analysis, you must have you must set an objectives for yourself, or research questions for yourself at the back end that you want to address. So the purpose of the analysis is what is to provide answers to those questions. Now, it's important to know that the greatest, no matter even the greatest amount and best quality of data, mean nothing if data are not properly analyzed or analyzed at all. So data must be properly analyzed before it can give you all useful information, because not all information you get from data are useful. So the usefulness of your information will depend on the nature, the appropriateness of the analysis you run on your data. Also, analysis does not simply rely on using a computer packages. So you must have a background of you must have the understanding or fundamental understanding of the nature of the techniques of the analysis you want to use conducted on that particular data. It's not just using SPSS, using Stata, using R console, using Python. You must understand the techniques, the analysis techniques itself. And also analysis is looking at data in light of studying objectives or research question design. As I said, for every analysis you perform, you must be guided by the research objectives. You must be guided by research objectives. So these are what we'll be embarking on subsequently in 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 here. We'll be embarking on, we'll be unveiling each of this process, each of these techniques of analysis as we proceed. And and data analysis can be classified on the form of data as well. And we'll have as well as types of analysis. So your data analysis can be in forms of the data you have, and as well can be in the types of analysis you want to conduct. So what we mean by in forms of data is like, oh, is your data qualitative in nature or quantitative? So when you have a qualitative data, definitely you are running a qualitative analysis. And if you have a quantitative analysis data, definitely you are running a quantitative analysis. So as well, based on the possible analysis you have at the back of your head, or based on the objective you set for yourself, you can as well have perform several types of analysis. And this include descriptive analysis, predictive analysis, prescriptive analysis, and diagnostics analysis. So this is what we will be unfolding subsequently. So I would like you to keep in touch with us as we unfold this subsequently. I believe with this, with the knowledge of this concept of data, you would lay a good foundation in moving forward on how to analyze data. And thank you